So what does a Trump presidency look like for the Atlanta real estate market? One big win is knowing who is going to be president. Whether you voted for him or voted against him, this is one big unknown that now is known.
President of the United States.
That is good for all markets, especially the housing market. Also, this election made it obvious that Americans are choosing the economy and inflation as their top priorities. Affordability is really the most pressing issue that is facing the housing market today, and it has been for some years now. Today, we're going to look at what a Trump presidency could bring to the real estate market, both on a national level and a local level. My name is Kelly Allen. I am passionate about helping people moving from outside of Georgia find a great neighborhood to live in inside Metro Atlanta when you have so many options to pick from. There are 4 topics that when I think about a Trump presidency, I think about these 4 things. The first topic is using federal lands to build affordable housing. Currently, the nation is short 7 million affordable homes, and hopeful first-time buyers have really just been priced out of the market. Trump gave a speech to the Economic Club of New York in early September, and on that day, he suggested using federal land for housing development to help meet demand, saying that regulation costs 30% of a new home, and we will open up portions of federal land for large-scale housing construction. Now, this is a great idea in theory. However, when you look at a map at where federal land actually is in the country, you're going to see that the highest concentration of federally owned land is on the west side of the country, especially in states like Nevada, California, and those areas. So again, if you're in Nevada, where 80% of the state is owned by the federal government, then this could open up some opportunities for affordable housing. But here in Georgia, only 5% of the lands are owned by the federal government. And for the most part, those are national parks and national forests. The majority of that federal land is located within the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest, which spans in and between Atlanta, Macon, Athens, and Augusta. But there's also the Cumberland Island National Seashore. None of these are going to be used to create affordable housing. So one of Trump's solutions to affordability is not going to work in Georgia. Now, one idea I've mentioned on previous videos is how about going to a state or even county level and opening up land there. The state of Georgia owns land that could be used for affordable housing. At the county level, you also can find county-owned land that's currently not being used for anything. Now, it may not be in the area where a lot of buyers want to purchase, but if tax incentives were in place for the state or the county level to, let's say, sell this land to builders or developers, and then you give incentives to the builders and developers to build affordable housing, then you might have solved some of the problems that we're having so we can get these first-time buyers in homes. Now, when I talk about affordable housing, I'm not talking about high-density urban kind of development. I'm talking about single-family homes or maybe even some attached homes that are at a price point for that county that matches the first-time buyer demand. So that might be building $400,000 homes in some of the counties like Cobb County, Forsyth County, and North Fulton County. For example, 12% of Cobb County is undeveloped. I wonder what would have to happen for Cobb County to give up part of that land to developers and builders who could also be incentivized to build affordable housing. I don't know. I don't know what that would look like. We have to get the counties talking about this as a solution to the affordability crisis. The second topic would be deregulation. We know that Trump is a big fan of limiting regulations, especially when it comes to building and construction. I'm a huge fan of this too. There's red tape all over the place in and around Metro Atlanta when it comes to building. However, if this is implemented as soon as he gets into office, it could still take a few years to really cycle through where we start to see the effects of this. So if it might take a few years to see the effects of deregulation, what do we do until then? One idea that's been floated by several real estate experts, and really hoping the NAR picks this up and takes this to their lobbyists, would be to incentivize sellers who are selling their second homes and their investment homes so that they don't pay capital gains on the gains. Now, we all know, call it a window of opportunity maybe. We know that Trump is passionate about lowering taxes, which this would do. This also increases supply, which could put more first-time buyers in a position where they can actually begin to purchase homes in this market. And listen, getting younger people in a position where they can start, again, really creating roots in their community, purchasing homes and building wealth through real estate is a great thing for not only the county and the state, but for the country as well. Another idea that's being floated is maybe changing the zonings of certain areas so that people can live in an area that's not currently zoned residential. Now, this is going to be pushed back at a local level, so something like this might have to come from the national level. Okay, third, we can't talk about anybody being president in the housing market without talking about interest rates. Now, whoever becomes president truly has no bearing on what is going to happen to mortgage interest rates. And the expectations of a series of interest rate cuts in 2024 really haven't come to fruition. And it's impossible to predict what's going to happen in 2025. But what we do know is that the era of free money, these 2 and 3% interest rates that have existed since 2009 are over. And this is really proving to be a tough adjustment, especially for a whole generation of people who weren't in the market before 2009 and have therefore set their expectations around an environment where central banks around the world were injecting liquidity into the system, thereby keeping rates lower. So we have to make sure that this new generation of buyers understands that the interest rates of yesterday are no longer, and really to begin to normalize these 6% interest rates, hopefully getting into the 5% next year. I do think they will, but just normalizing what is really going to be considered more of a historically average interest rate. Now, fourth topic when it comes to Trump and the housing market is his mass deportation idea. Without getting into comments about the borders or anything like that, mass deportation is going to prove to be a huge challenge for the construction industry. Taking undocumented workers out of the workforce could make for fewer homes being built, higher construction costs, and therefore higher home prices. Okay, with all that being said, what's going to happen to prices and to sales? Historically, home sales have gone up 9 out of the last 11 election cycles. So for those of you who are waiting until after the election to make a move, your time has come. And if I were you, I would go ahead and jump into the market now because we have 2 years of pent-up buyer demand on the sidelines. And even with fewer sales this year and fewer sales last year, home prices are still increasing. In fact, depending on where you're at in Metro Atlanta, home prices have gone up between 3% and 13.5%. So even with low demand that we've seen this year, prices are still rising. Imagine what's going to happen to prices when demand picks up. And that's the situation that if you can jump in the market now, you're going to be able to avoid. So what do you think is going to happen with the Trump presidency in the Atlanta housing market? If you found this video helpful or intriguing, please click the like button and the subscribe button.
Hey, next Saturday, don't forget to join me for all things Atlanta real estate related when it comes to the election, what is going to happen now that Trump is in office, and what does that mean for you if you are buying and moving into the Atlanta area. Join me for a YouTube Live, bring all your questions, and I'll answer them next Saturday, November 23rd. See you there.